So Talia trances in the wagon, presumably with Culpa. Raugum is asleep in his sack, and
Fuck just happened.
you are on your first
Am I in the
watch.
dreamscape?
You can, and now he's gone. The okay, so Athen finishes his first watch, and whoever's next, which was never established,
Me.
we'll okay. Talia begins second watch.
I'm gonna restart my Discord real quick.
Okay. the the watches go pretty unsuccessfully and successfully rather, but uneventful. There's the standard sounds of creatures and surf and birds. And in the morning, you all awaken at your various times to find another day and another breakfast situation.
See, we could just fast travel to Ravenna, right? It's like
We can go. We can do. We
have
can
the
do.
opportunity to attack us at every night.
Yes, we can do highlights.
Yeah, that's fine with me
Yeah, sure.
if you guys don't mind.
All right. So, beginning of day 6, there is no travel through any sort of village or town or anything like that. This time, almost the entire day is walking along the road. You see some more. You see some smaller contingents of Imperial troops. You see a couple other travelers. You do your hunting or Goodberry or rations or however you want to feed yourselves that day. And you camp by the side of the road again. And it'll be day 7 now. We'll kind of see you coming through a medium-sized trading city that's bigger than Nicopolis, about Terrakium size, a little bit smaller.
About time.
Oh,
About time.
interesting.
It doesn't have walls, but it has a beginnings of a docks, probably a harbor size, with a small more for effect than actual. More for appearance rather than effect of a lighthouse. It's been built on the end of a seawall. Is there anything that anyone wants to do here?
I'm definitely gonna
Are
go.
there any facilities such as weaponsmiths,
Yeah.
a
Smiths.
bazaar? I don't know.
There's a plaza with a market. There's a temple. There's a there's an agora on top of a small hill. It's the best that they can do. But yes, there are definitely facilities for you. It sounds like you all want to go to find a smithy for
Yes.
first. Okay. So you go into the city. Well, you leave your horse and cart at the livery, and go into the city proper. I ask around a little bit, see where you can find the smithy. They're on the outskirts of the north or southeastern side of the city. So you eventually go over there, and you find it's surprisingly sprawling for a forge. It's built right up against a small hill. It looks like the kiln has been worked into whatever this, if this hill is natural or otherwise, but the kiln itself has been worked into it, and they're using that as their primary furnace. But there are a few other auxiliary or ancillary forges that are next to it that seem to cover a wide range of items. There are some shields and some weapons. There's a lot of farming implements. There's some items that you'd see on boats, like hooks and racks, and those sorts of things. There's at least like 5 people working this forge right now. As you approach, they take note of you and give an elbow to one of the bigger fellows who looks like he's got a little bit more experience or skill or something to him. As you approach, he grabs a length of cloth, and cleans his hands up a little bit as best he can, and waves at you as you approach. Salve, what brings you folks out here?
Ave, Sir Smith, we are in search of various tools and weapons and perhaps armor if you have the supplies and skill to create some for us. I specifically am interested in any morning stars or any type of armor that you might have that would be in some way superior to my own. I believe my companions have their own demands.
If you, by chance, have any superior rapiers, scimitars, or any nice short swords, I'll take a look at.
Oh, you all are big spenders. Alright, I can work with that. So, he'll start moving off to the left. There ain't much call for armor, and yours looks pretty well crafted to begin with. I do got some plate mail, and I got some half plate. It's more functional than form.
Great axe.
Great axe.
For a sec, let him finish. I asked first, you didn't take the initiative, I had to, so now you get to finish.
This is why he's the server owner.
Among other things.
Yeah, sure.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
threatening to ban 2 people that are fighting.
Yeah,
You know.
which is always entertaining.
Oh, no, okay. Never mind.
Morning stars, huh? I had a couple that are a little bit makeshift. They were more projects for some of the newer folks that I got working for me here. But you're certainly welcome to take a look at it. They're definitely morning stars. They're a little bit more, again, they're a little bit more designed for function and a little bit more wicked looking than perhaps an elf would be used to. The head of it is more flared out and sharpened, but it doesn't have any sort of like scroll work or anything like that. There are some notches and some hollowed out points on the flared out blades, as it were, for weight and balance. They're pretty much very reminiscent of cast iron. Very dark, very solid, very heavy, but there hasn't been a whole lot of say detail work put into it. It looks it looks very solid though. It looks well put together. Just once it was done, they just moved on to something else.
These pieces are indeed functional. I don't see any problems in the craftsmanship, but I was wondering if you may perhaps take commissions for something a little more detailed and elegant.
Well, that's gonna take time and money, but if you got both, we can certainly. I got a couple of dwarves back here. We can certainly pound something out.
Oh, Ralgam, want to go say hi?
Excellent.
Going to Pound Town.
Yeah, you know,
Player to
all
DM.
dwarves know each other.
All dwarves
Totally.
know each other. Player to DM.
Yeah.
Half plate, and chainmail. What's the difference?
Probably just the coverage. Or the AC. I will look at that right now. So, plate is an AC of 18. Chainmail is 16. And half plate is 15.
Plus Dex
Wait,
modifier.
chainmail is 16 and half plate is 15?
Yes.
Interesting.
That's
Half plate
the-
is
on this
15
table.
plus your Dex, so.
Yes,
Ah.
half plate includes your dex at a max of 2.
Yeah, well, that's not gonna help me with my -2. What is the disadvantage of plate mail then?
Disadvantage
checks,
on
isn't
stealth
it?
checks.
Yeah, that's fine. How much? I'll ask how much it would cost to commission some plate mail then, and how long it would take.
Alrighty. So,
I'm practicing for Vegas.
Including the fact that I would probably be selling my chainmail.
you want to do a trade, an exchange?
Yes.
So you want half plate, which gives you less protection than your chain.
Full
Oh,
plate.
you want full plate. Ew. Right. Okay. So the book says
Because
15.
I mean, 2 more AC.
So the book says it's 1500,
Ooh,
and that's gonna be.
what did the DM say?
I'll half that because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that is a little.
But
insane.
it's you're asking for a custom piece of full plate mail.
And is that a price that is reasonable across the Triscani Empire?
You can probably get it cheaper somewhere. Especially, you can probably get it cheaper somewhere else. This is not a particularly big city, and they're not quite accustomed to doing this sort of stuff. If you went to a different smith and got half plate and then had plate mail, and got plate mail and had it adjusted, that might be a little bit cheaper. But they're gonna have to make a whole. They can maybe take the half plate and then make the rest of it here.
Okay.
But
I'm looking at what, like 600 gold, 500
Yeah.
gold to
Yeah.
get a set of plate mail.
yeah,
Basically.
it's gonna and yeah, it's a time of war, so everybody's looking for armor anyways. There would be more dedicated forges to this where they would make it more in mass, that you could probably get it a little bit cheaper, but at the most it would be like 100 gold less.
So like 650 gold for a set of plate mail.
Right.
Fair enough.
Yes.
That makes sense.
If you let them take the half plate, it'll be a little bit less than a week.
So they take the half plate and just turn it into full plate. Is what you're
Yes,
saying. That would
yes.
be cheaper.
That
How
it would
much?
be cheaper and it'll be quicker. You can take 75 gold off of it.
Okay.
Since,
Um,
you still have to get fitted and all that sort of stuff. They have to take your measurements. It'll be it'll be like 6, maybe 7 days
Okay.
to
I'm
finish
just trying to
that
get
up.
like an idea of like where
Right,
I want to go.
right, I understand.
I don't have money to buy that shit.
Right. The book is like a long time to make a full suit of plate mail, even with help. But I'm not going to go with that because there's no fun. It takes all the fun out of it.
True. All right. Well, plate mail's up my budget. What would it take to make me a nicer looking morning star befitting of my status?
Okay, so do you want a custom piece or do you want to use something that you already have or that they have even?
Well, I'll get a price for the custom piece first off, just so I have an idea.
Alright, so let's see. A custom piece from scratch. Materials, labor, time. You got a Morningstar, so that's 15 gold for a Morningstar in the book. So if you wanted it customized, and you know, it's probably going to be pushing 30, depending on how intricate and complex you want the design work to be.
Well, I probably want the emblem of my order on it.
No, that's not too bad. If you want like scroll work or ivy, or
Probably some scroll work.
you want
I-
engraving
well,
on the handles.
Might as well look at some Dark Souls examples of maces. Put those in.
I want a good, reliable weapon that looks nice that I can just kind of hold on to until I find something better. So,
Here's what's about the show is what I'm hearing.
if I ever find anything better.
When is he not?
What?
I
Nothing.
said, when are you not?
When am I not what? I didn't
About the
hear.
showbiz.
Oh, the showbiz.
The
No, but-
showbiz.
And
You're a dick.
Elven Paladin, I have some pride here.
Yes.
I have to look good while I'm smashing your face in.
Oh, of course.
Yes, the
Do you-
Morning
do you-
Star, the weapon of all redemption-based paladins.
It ain't brutality if it doesn't look nice.
Yeah. Add some elegance to what's otherwise a vulgar brawl.
Well, I also have a mate that I can use if I really don't want to bust their brains out too hard. You know, because I'm
Listen.
easy to do that.
I get
That's
it.
my
but I
job.
hate them.
Oh. Okay, no, that's fine.
Mm,
If you want like leather grips, there's a lot that would go into this.
oh, that shit looks fucking dope.
Doesn't it though?
It does. It really does.
That's gonna push it past 30 if you did that.
Yeah, yeah, that's an extravagant amount to spend on a weapon at this point in the game. But
You could always go off and do a dungeon crawl or something and get one for free. You got
True,
You don't
but
have to.
I'd want to go into a dungeon with a nice fucking weapon that I can, you know, wrap my hands around and feel how hard and
There it is.
how-
Good, nice, like that.
Uh,
Where'd you go?
He's just missed the other. I'll drag him back in.
the emblem of my order.
Oh, he's still going.
He didn't even.
Oh my. Oh my. I'm sorry. What the hell?
And yeah, I probably want it made out of steel, not cast iron.
Okay, jeez.
Alright. Steel Morningstar.
Oh my god, I want some nachos right now. Fuck.
And what would the damage be on a Morningstar? I'd assume that's a martial weapon, not a simple weapon.
According to this, it is 1d8 piercing.
1d8 piercing.
God, I'm so hungry for some nachos.
Go make some. Homemade.
There's no nachos in D&D, Gabe.
Yeah.
Suck it up.
Alright, I'm gonna make something in D&D. You're gonna blow your mind when I say this, right? I'm gonna combine cheese, a flour tortilla, and some meat.
Oh.
And we're gonna cook this. I'm gonna bake these chips under a nice cast iron flame.
A cast iron flame, huh? Alright.
Yeah, I'm gonna heat the metal. And I'm gonna let it sear it.
Okay.
Oh my god.
So yeah,
No.
how long would that take to make?
The custom Morningstar.
Yes, sir.
Is that- Probably be 4, maybe pushing 5.
Okay. 4 or 5 days.
Yep.
Okay. So the attack is strength.
Yes. Melee is strength,
yeah.
ranged is dex.
1d8 damage plus strength modifier.
Yes.
Type is piercing.
Oh my. Hello. Do it. Do it. Do it. Take it out. Alright, so that is everything for you?
Then my fucking mace. Shields don't really change at all, right? They don't have more.
No, there's not an increase or decrease with 1 AC with shields.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's it for me.
You get a bigger shield, it gets more ungainly to wield, so they kind of even themselves out, as it were.
Yeah.
Alright. So you're gonna try and convince. So now you're gonna try and convince the group to hang around here for 4 or so days.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna get commission as well, so I'm up for this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can always find a bounty.
Alright, so next is next.
Well, do you offer any better short swords, rapiers, anything of the like?
We got short swords aplenty. Not much call for rapiers around here. But we got some of them smaller swords, or some of them fancy swords for some of the trader folk that come through here. They like a little bit of flair when they get attacked by brigands. He'll take you to the other end of the forge. Weapons and offense and defense are separated.
Don't put that shit for me.
Okay.
And there's 8, maybe 10 short swords, and there's 2 longer looking swords that you could classify as rapier, but they tend to be a bit more functional and don't have the basket hilt that you might normally expect.
So they won't have any other bonuses. They're just the weapon.
Normally, what it is that magic weapons have bonuses, but it's not going to.
Oh, okay.
Having a short sword that looks different isn't going to do a whole lot. You could maybe get them to make one serrated, have a serrated edge, and then we could work on your dice size. Bring it up to a 10 or something. Whatever it is. Short sword is okay. Bring it up to a
I'll
D8.
take some like dual short sword serrated.
Okay. They don't have any serrated, but they can make them serrated in like a day or 2.
Okay, sure.
Oh, I just closed the book. So, short swords. 10 gold. I'll drop that to 7. So 14 plus the serrated will put you at like 16 or so.
Okay.
Gold for that. Anything else for you?
I think that's it for me.
Alright. Knowing what I do about dwarves, I imagine you got a big request, buddy.
You got a glaive or a great axe, or even something that can be made of
A
sword.
glaive.
Yeah.
That's a pretty short.
And Chili wants a
Isn't it?
glaive.
Might as well just get a fucking halberd.
Oh.
She doesn't want the halberd.
Okay, never mind.
I mean, like that's fine too. I'm looking for
What
something
about a
like
pike?
the one.
What about
Glaive,
Do you want a halberd?
glaive with an
What
eye.
what about a guisarme? What
you like
about
a
a
warhammer?
naginata or a savnia or a guandao?
Dude,
I want it to be at
Or
least
a
a
halma?
1d10.
you want a trident?
You want a trident? Better yet, you want a bident? Come on.
Make it a quadrant.
Well,
Can you just make a big full?
Do you want a polearm weapon? Because they'll have those. That's easy enough to do.
do they have crossbows?
It's not really.
This is not the place for that. You'd go to crossbows at like.
All right, like I said, at least I would like 1d10s possible.
Okay, so 1d10. So pike,
So that's
glaive, yeah. I
a
see.
lance.
A lance. I don't think you even know how to handle it. You're a dwarf with a lance. Are you gonna be freaking kidding me with this shit?
4 times taller than you.
It's already going to be like 6 or 7. It's supposed to be for mounted combat, and you want a lance. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
You have disadvantage when you use a lance to attack a target within
Great
5
axe
feet.
then.
Also, a lance requires 2 hands to wield when you aren't mounted.
Okay,
Alright.
fine. A great axe.
Okay. Where?
God in the act. Ask for one of those.
Great axe, 1d12. Alright, so. Great axe. I'm sure one of these dwarven boys would know how to make one of those. We got plenty of calls for axes and hatchets around here. Let me confer with my colleagues. He
I
does.
would be. I'm willing to put forth the extra gold to make sure it's up to my quality of standards.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
You have quality standards
Here we
now?
go. Here we go. So he confers with the dwarves for a minute, and they all
Use the tell to you because you're an outlander.
Ragam doesn't really know what he's doing. Now, so
Yeah,
they can.
skills.
They're basically going to combine 2 axes into a great axe for you, which is.
But I'm just saying.
You
I've
want
got mace.
detail work. Is that what I'm hearing?
Does your character need the detail work?
Were you
No.
really one for finesse at all?
Yes.
Finesse. Sure.
Yes. I need something of great.
All right. So, like big, clean, architectural lines going on.
Yes.
Big dwarven, like Lord of the Rings or something like that. Sure. That's. There are some dwarves that work here, so it's not out of the question. Absolutely. Alright, so combine 2 axes into. Oh, for shit's sake, why can't I just find what I want?
Same though.
Just looking for one goddamn picture, and it's so. Alright, fine. Fuck all y'all, anyways. So, whatever the price for the great axe. So it's a great axe, which is 30 gold.
Mm-hmm.
With the, I assume you'll give them specifications as to what you're looking for, but that's going to be at least another 10.
Okay.
And they will do you a great axe in 3. Come back like not before midday on the 4th day.
Okay.
All right. Is that everything for you?
Yeah, 'cause I'm just gonna stick to my unarmored defense.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's a want.
He takes your orders, from that sort of stuff, and hangs on to Talia for a few minutes to get measurements. You all can do what you want while he does that. You can return and wait. And after a bit of time, you place your orders. And the rest of it's getting close to 4:30 by then.
So, given that we all have our commissions to wait for, should we get some touchings, or would you prefer to make cannons? A couple gold.
It's okay. First off, let me preface this without anything. Would failure ever want a custom wand or anything? Okay, he doesn't get a choice.
I don't think it matters.
Well, I was gonna say if we look for like a
Or
shop where he wants a
Or
nice
staff.
wand.
Well, when he comes back and we're in Ravenna, or wherever the fuck we are,
Yeah.
then
I'd like to stay at a lodge because we've been fucking outside for a few days.
I would tend to agree with the sentiment. My back is getting a little sore.
Well, bring me coffee.
Your forehead has calmed down.
Oh, that's nice.
Occasionally, you can feel pressure and a little bit of movement, but it's.
Oh, movement. That's lovely.
I knew you'd like that. It's a nice touch. But otherwise, if you didn't feel the slight pressure in the movement, you probably wouldn't even know it's there. You know, you'd never think of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you go back
Party
into
life.
yes, you go back into town and find lodging rather, and have your meal. Do
Or lodgings and meal.
whatever. You get drunk, whatever. You can go to a temple. You can go down to the, go down to the harbor. There's a small
Is there
Gym.
like a
gymnasium.
Yeah, I would say a gymnasium of some sort. Yeah.
There is, yes. They have.
Let's go. Let's go.
I will have my meal and a glass of wine, and then find a library.
All right. They have a small, relatively small library as well. That's easy enough to do. So Raugan goes to the gym. Talia goes to a librarium.
And I want to do some research
Yes.
on Ravenna, if possible, and its surroundings.
Oh, I probably should have gone to the library, shouldn't I? I'm retarded.
I'll share what I've learned. And I want to see if there's any dungeons around the area. Because I totally forgot those were a thing in a game called Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh no, we're not playing. We're playing Warlocks and Wyverns. It's a totally different game, man.
Do you know how to play Snakes and Ladders?
Wenches and whinging. So, all right, so Talia goes to do that. Are you gonna do anything specific, Chili, while you're at the gymnasium?
Can I change my course to the library as well, and maybe look at the
okay.
history,
Sure,
and
so
maybe
you-
look at the history of northern barbarian dwarven tribes,
Very
Sure.
specific subject right
or
there.
any like notable names, just like
All right. Yes, you can
Good
do
luck.
that.
try and find something more about me. Hence, what's going on in my background, and I said I was not helpful last time.
Hence.
You gotta open up, lady. I'm not.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, my character can't.
Well, if you want, I can approach you with an offer for confession.
You don't have to have an immediate heart to heart. You can say things or do things and drop non-verbal hints here.
That's the
Yeah.
thing, my
I
character
didn't drop everything a
can't.
failure at first. He got little bits and pieces.
Remember? Okay, anyway.
Okay. Well, the bottom line is none of us held a gun to your head and made you be an outlander and be tight-lipped about everything.
True.
Got her there.
You could even talk with like NPCs, right? These people you'll probably never see again. You could say something with the NPCs, and then the players would hear that, and then maybe they could come up with a situation. You have options. You don't have to just talk and be forthcoming about everything.
Indeed.
This would actually be a great time right now, if Talia notices what you're reading, would be a chance for a discussion that you had you did not initiate.
No, because I want to do my own research first.
Right, but if Talia notices what you're reading and is like, hey, what's that book about? Anyways, so regardless, both of you need to make an investigation check to see how much knowledge you glean
Oh, damn.
from this
Oh,
shit.
God damn it. It's gonna end poorly. Hey!
With a -1, you got an 18.
You got a natural 19. Fuck me.
Yep.
It's hot.
Well, that's either bullshit or it's not bullshit. There's nothing really to roll there. Alright, so Talia, maybe it's because she's got 3 eyes looking at books instead of 2, is really just on top of things here. And you wanted to read about Ravenna. So Ravenna is on the northeastern side of the Italian peninsula. It was originally used as an area for magical experimentations, shall we say. That was quite a long time ago. It had its heyday shortly before the gods ascended to Elysium. But over time, it's softened somewhat with the growth of the empire, and it's turned into more of a repository for knowledge and less of a place of haphazard magical experimentation. There are many different libraries. There are many different scriptoriums, and there's
Coldwood's gonna love it there.
quite a large tabulum, and they are a city of knowledge and learning and self-improvement through education. The libraries are tended to be divvied up based on subject matter rather than having one big library. There are libraries on geography and countries, politics, magic. There are studies of the primeval times when the gods walked the earth, and when humanity, not just humanity, but all sentient
Go
creatures
next, Josh. Go next.
talked and interacted with them. There is a library dedicated to the entire history of the empire, which stands a little bit higher than everyone else's. There are libraries. There's a library devoted to the gods. There's a lot of libraries for different subjects. Essentially, is what it is, and they're all scattered around the city. They have big imports, I should say, of food and candles and lumber and wood. But they make money copying texts and using that wood to pulp it and to make parchment or to make vellum. They also have imports of the raw materials to make different inks of various qualities, magical and mundane. Same with parchment and paper. They're also known for their thoroughly above average masonry. There's a lot of statues and a lot of attention to detail. People in the real world might say the devil's in the details, but for the people of Ravenna, the divinity is in the details. And they prefer to have a more elegant and elaborate appearance to at least their buildings. Perhaps not so much their clothes or anything like that. You know that in the majority of these libraries, you are escorted around by what are called iterators. no one is permitted to take books out of the library. So you are allowed to copy as much as you want. And for most of the libraries, you're not limited on visits or how long you stay or anything like that. But you are chaperoned for the duration of your entire stay in the libraries. They are very protective of what they have.
Fair enough.
They
I'll let them know.
they operate on the principle somewhat of equivalent exchange. If you want something, you're going to have to give something. They have no problems with providing you with ink and parchment for free. But if you want them to copy an entire book for you, perhaps you should bring them a book in return or something like that.
Interesting.
It doesn't have to be on the subject matter. There's a whole bunch of rules for that. It doesn't have to be on the subject matter. They'll transfer to the library as long as you, or you can pay. You know, there are options. So, for the most part, they are definitely funded by the Empire, but they are also expected to, at the very least, cover their costs. In recent years, with the war's been going on for a little over 2 years now, pushing 2.5, pushing it pretty hard. The Ravenna has been less occupied and less visited, but they have still endeavored to expand and engage in some new construction projects. They just recently, about 4 months ago, according to this author, completed a new public bathworks,
Ooh.
and which is quite large. They have a small dock, fishing, maritime situation, but it's not much. They don't invest a whole lot in it. There is a garrison there at all times. They have a permanent garrison that they are expected to assist in maintaining the upkeep and maintenance of.
What about the temple there?
They are also religiously inclined. They have a temple that is mostly dedicated towards Juno primarily, and Athena as the Minerva as the goddess of wisdom also has a strong presence there. Apollo. Jeez. Yeah.
Roman name as well.
Yeah, I know. Don't start with me. They tend to focus on.
Oh, his Roman name is still Apollo.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a very complicated deity.
He is. He is.
They have made an effort to have a dedicated temple to the main gods of the pantheon, where they each have a separate space rather than just a bunch of busts or alcoves in one large cathedral. There are some smaller temples to Momus or Querella and Clementia and not Artemis. Diana, yes, and Diana that are somewhat lesser known, but definitely Persephone even, which to minor gods, but that some patron at some point was a big fan of them, and he had the money to get a smaller temple put up to these minor gods.
So there's a very large religious presence there.
Yes, there is. The knowledge is not purely a scientific pursuit. There's also an expectation of insight and enlightenment that is provided by the gods themselves. The information is not enough in its text form for a person to truly understand it, and there's, at the very least, there's an understanding that talking to the gods and seeking some insights or some context or some nuance is part of the reading process. And of course, what self-respecting Triscani city wouldn't at least have some temples to some of the gods? They just happen to be able to afford more.
Synod, you're a paladin, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So, wow. I guess I should roll 18s on investigation checks before I get so much fucking information. Holy shit.
You rolled. I think you rolled some pretty high ones on those in some of those smaller cities, but they didn't. They just didn't have the books.
True. Last question.
Mm-hmm.
Any records of dungeons anywhere
Oh,
in
right,
the
dungeons.
vicinity of Ravenna? Just because, why not?
In Ravenna? No, not around Ravenna. There are tombs and mausoleums and crypts, but they're almost
Can we rob them?
exclusively to. You could. They are mostly almost
You
all
should
exclusively
not.
towards famous figures in the Empire.
Oh fuck yeah, that's a lot of gold.
What would the nearest dungeon?
All right, so the nearest dungeon. Where's my Google Maps here?
I just go on a dungeon run. Why not?
Yeah. There is.
Stripping nervously. Yeah.
Let me make up a quick legend.
I mean, you can take your time. I don't care.
So there is there was a warlord of sorts that was in this area, because this is modern day Slavic area. There was a warlord that was struck down by the Empire for multiple offenses. But his empire was a little bit north of where you are right now, but it is said that he had planned, because of a prophecy regarding his death, he had planned a protected resting place. And it is rumored that it is... What is it called? It's rumored that it is behind the Kravis waterfall. Kravis waterfall. It's about 2 days from where you are right now. East. North by northeast.
2 days east of the current city we're in.
Yes, correct. The fact that it is... The waterfall is not a small waterfall. It's landmark size. There have been people that have investigated and looked into it, but it's... At best,
They're
it's
just waiting for heroes to find.
Yeah. As you do, you know. But the results have been pretty mixed.
Interesting.
There are a couple recordings that this is more in like city-specific government documentation now, and less just in a library book. And this will take the rest of your day, by the way.
Yeah. But considering I only have to sleep 4 hours, I would like to spend the rest of my time
Right.
just trying to improve my general intelligence.
Right. I understand that. I have taken note that you have made efforts to improve your intelligence. consistently over these months.
Yes.
I'm not ignoring that. I'm just setting a precedent so that everyone else isn't like, well, Cyanide only did that for 4 sessions and he got a point of intelligence.
Alright, since I have some free time,
Yeah.
since I haven't been fucking reading books while you all have been, I decide, you know,
Let's go, Fear King.
Well, you could go and you go to an archery range and start shooting.
that's actually what I
maybe-
wanted to go do.
Oh, there you go. Well, then you could maybe get +1 to your damage, or maybe eventually you could get feet or something like that. Okay,
Yeah, I'd like to
so
just do that for a
Athen will
while,
go
practice my
and,
dexterity.
there you go.
After stuff with Decius and those arrows, I was like, oh, okay, let's make that happen more often.
Where are the feet?
You want feet pics? I got you. Hold on. Josh, send them.
No, you send them to me first, because
Wait, what?
I'm
Send
at it.
feet pics. Send feet pics.
He's my manager.
He's my man.
That's all my news.
Start it with Striffy, send him feet pics, and then he'll get sent to Sinon.
I will.
We got a
Okay.
system here.
One sec, I gotta find him again.
By the way, thank you, Striffy, for making that shit up, or reading all that shit out. Seriously, that was more than I expected. I'll be honest.
I've been planning for more than I've been planning for this journey, which is probably not the best idea since the journey comes first. But I have quite a few. It's very nice to look at pictures of libraries on the internet.
I recognize the amount of effort that went into that.
I gotta say, Austria has a lot of really pretty libraries that I really want to use, but they're ridiculous and maybe a little bit over
I want
the
to go
top.
to Munich and see some of their architecture. It's beautiful there.
Facts.
But anyway, thank you.
Yeah.
For all that information.
Yeah, so
We're definitely going to that dungeon, guys. I want treasure. But for the church. But
For the
So
church. I
when
see.
you have an ASI improvement, you can instead choose to take a feat, or you can earn a feat through deeds and actions, and stuff like that. ASIs, I think, come at 4th level.
I got it.
Yes, ASIs come. Yes, ASIs come 4th,
Oh no.
and then 8, and then 12, and then 16, and then 19. So you can either improve your ability scores or you can take a feat for something. And there's quite a few feats in this book. And I'm sure there's plenty more in Homebrew, but we can go over that later. So mixed results. And so Chili's doing an investigation on the northern dwarves.
Yee.
All right, so Kjellborn. I think it's Kjellborn. The Kjellborn mountain dwarves are a bit more insular, I suppose, than the majority of other dwarves. Maybe it's the cold, or maybe it's just their remote location, but they haven't maintained communication with the other dwarves as much as the other dwarves have. They're not cold. They're not distant. They're not emotionally distant. They're just a little bit more standoffish
Aw.
with their own kind, I should say. Which it's always caused a little bit of consternation, but they're not rude by any stretch of the imagination. There's no thoughts that they're going down a dark path or anything like that. They're just maybe a little bit more stoic. When the gods still walked the earth, the dwarves, after narrowly avoiding their own racial genocide, grew and prospered very quickly, and they they split up into groups to find their own homes to spread their people out. The origin of the dwarves is in the origin of dwarves are in the Himalayan mountains, and they spread out from there. And this particular group of dwarves that found themselves in the Kilborn Mountains was led by Grimney. I just had the last name. Grimney Axebiter. That's what it was. Led by Grimney Axebiter, who was very strict. Was a very strict dwarf indeed. And he had that sort of not that the dwarves really needed this, but he had the sort of mentality of if you don't work, you don't eat. And again, the dwarves are not a lazy race by any stretch of the imagination, but Grimney was no stranger to cracking the whip and driving that particular group of dwarves to be more industrious and more workaholic, I suppose, than their other kind, than their cousins in other mountain ranges. The dwarves in the Kilborn Mountains also do have a bit of an affinity for hunting, comparatively with the other dwarves around the world. They take an above average amount of delight in hunting, skinning, and generally being outdoors, which is slightly disconcerting to other dwarves. The sky being all the way up there has always been rather intimidating and frightening. Over the years, or I suppose I should say the decades, Grimney became more and more reclusive, and there's no real explanation for why. There's a couple of theories. One was that it was just age. One was that he bore some dark knowledge or dark secret, or maybe a foreboding prophecy about himself or the dwarves, or the Kilborn dwarfs. But it is not known why he, being the de facto king of these dwarves, became less and less and less involved with his people and more withdrawn. The family that came into prominence, well, the families, I should say, that came into prominence, didn't really bicker amongst themselves, because dwarves have more solidarity than that. But they definitely engaged in, let's say, eager competition with each other. Maybe not playful per se. It's a little bit more serious than that. But they were very competitive with each other and tried to outdo each other in order to get some sort of substantial lead amongst the other dwarven families. And the one that, and for a while, it looked like it was going to be the Haftbreakers. They were pretty quintessential dwarves. Big on mining, big on forge work, smithing, crafting, all that sort of stuff. And they had the resources, to be sure. They had the people. They had the skills and the inroads to maybe within 50, 60 years, could probably make a claim for the throne.
It's actually pretty good rules. Nice.
But they got a little bit too focused on what was ahead of them and didn't pay enough attention to what was behind them. And from behind them came the Caskbanes. And the Caskbanes had quite the extensive knowledge in brewing, in all kinds of alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages. They had. There was no shortage of water. They had underground pools, and there was always snow. They could afford to very cheaply make mass amounts of potable beverages of varying intensity. And indeed they did. And it wasn't really their skill with brewing that caught them up to the half-breakers. Let's just get that straight. It wasn't the fact that they got the dwarven population drunk and then they got voted into royalty or nobility at the very least. It was more that the money that they were able to make with not just their own people, but with trading and setting up. I don't want to say this, but I will. I'll say franchises across the northern part of, which was the northern part of we'll call it Europe. That really is what brought in big bucks, and they traded some of their secrets for favors, for political advisors, for arcane relics, and even for aid from other dwarven city-states, I should say. They made sure that anyone who was traveling, any sort of waypoint, any sort of outpost, anyone who was on the road, that those people in particular had access to Caskbane products. And eventually that began to branch out from just brews and beers and meads, and eventually started to branch out into outfitting, and a little bit into weapons, a little bit into warm dwarven cloaks and boots and other sorts of things that you wouldn't automatically associate with dwarves. And over time, again, decades of time, because dwarves and elves both look at things in a very long-term perspective, the half-breakers lost their momentum. They lost their edge. They lost maybe even motivation. A little bit of ennui started to set over them, and the Caskbanes didn't pounce on them. They didn't tear into them. That's not the dwarven way. But they were happy to help out whenever the half-breakers faltered. They were happy to be right there, ready to help their people or someone else's people when the half-breakers were unable to fill an order or meet a requirement or whatever. Or whenever they failed to
Blue Eyes White Dragon.
make inroads with such and such group. And over time, as the half-breakers fell, the Caskbanes grew and became not just nobility, but they became de facto rulers of the Kelborn Mountain clan. The first, the leader of the Caskbane family, who accepted the ascension from very powerful sort of merchant house into full-blown noble house with pedigree and titles and not serfs per se, but a constituency that they were to be permanently in control of was
I don't think I gave you a name, did I?
no, but it
No.
was Havarskbar, rather.
God, the spell.
HV. I'll just type it. It's fine.
Var.
Havarskbar.
Oh dear God. I'm writing.
Josh, how the fuck am I supposed to respond to that sentence? What do I even say to that?
I want
Okay.
You're so fucking weird.
Alaska or Casbane?
Yes. Let's go, Castaway.
Yeah, just go next.
I had a title that I was gonna give him, just like an affectation of a title. The Rebuilder? No, it wouldn't really be Rebuilder. Anyways, I'll think of it, or I'll think of it later.
Mhm.
Okay. So,
He accepted.
I'm gonna drag Josh into a call for 1 second.
He
Came up with he accepted the title of nobility, and from that point, is he fucking rolling for another character without like saying shit to anybody? Because I'm gonna kick his ass. He better not be. I'm just putting that out there. He better fucking not be. I'm not a bitch boy who's just gonna accept these people just coming in here like.
Hey, 6-man D&D game.
Yeah, I told him that 6 was the top. That was the limit. There's nobody else. 6 people, writing for 6 people and playing with 6 people is the absolute limit that I'm going to be doing. So,
But you're a professional
it's
DM.
just, oh, shut the fuck up. It's the fact that he's just adding people without even, whatever,
Asking.
not without even telling, not even asking. God forbid he would ask. But he's not even just saying, hey guys, Josh is playing now. Nothing. It's just, fucker. A sign up. That's fine. We don't really need him. And so the Casbane family was the de facto leaders, and again, they weren't really threatened, or there was no assassination attempt or anything like that, because that's not what dwarves do. They have a lot of solidarity. But over time, there has been a disquiet and rumors in the Dwarven lands that the Casbanes achieved their successes through means that dwarves would find deplorable. Perhaps not, well, probably elves, but perhaps not humans or halflings or gnomes. But there's been talk that there was some underhanded, non-dwarven tactics used. And it's one thing to bring in humans or even half elves, or gods forbid elves, in to help you to be advisors or counselors, and learn the way that politics and that sort of stuff works. It's one thing to bring in outside ideas, and then over like a century, maybe, or a century and change, you know, the dwarves might eventually see the wisdom in that and then implement it. It's one thing to bring in that sort of help, but it's something else to bring in outsiders to interfere with internal dwarf politics and rights. That's too far. That's not how the dwarves operate, and that's it may even be grounds for yeah, I can't think of the word I want. It may even be grounds for casting down a family, depending on how deep it goes. for a revocation of titles and status. It's not to say that, well, if it's serious enough, you could be exiled, but it's not like, but it's a scale. It's a sliding spectrum. You could maybe lose some titles. You could maybe lose all of your titles. You could maybe be exiled. You could maybe be executed. Whatever. But and that has led to sometimes a little bit more than disquiet. There have occasionally been challenges to the House of Cask. There were challenges to the Cask of House Caskbane, to like honor duels and that sort of stuff. Not just from the Halfbreakers. And it goes, and the books sort of wax a little bit general, in general, over the reforms and the laws and all the events that happened while the Caskbanes were in charge. And then it gets to the point where it covers what you read in Assedia's Tower, which was that the Caskbanes were unceremoniously removed from the Kelborn Mountains. There are stories of extremely bad luck, of fatal accidents, of missing parties, of mother and son getting torn apart by vicious beasts. It's very curious and very subtle, and definitely not dwarven. Dwarves have no love for subtlety. That's true no matter which city-state you go to. This underhanded, shadowy tactics are dishonorable, and you face your enemy with fire and steel. You put some elbow grease into it, you put your back into it, you bleed for it, and you win because you're dwarves. You don't go around engineering accidents for people. You don't go around quietly removing people from positions of authority. You deal with it head on, forehead to forehead. You make eye contact, you look that person in the eye, and you say, I'm going to bring you down, and there's nothing you can do about it. So it is very... well, this book was not written by a dwarf. It was also not written by a dwarf, I should say. The dwarves don't tend to share these sorts of information with outsiders. Certainly not the Kelborn. It is out of character for the dwarves to do that, and had they not been so remote, and had they not been a little bit standoffish from the other clans, there may have been some inter-clan emissaries and groups sent up to the roof of the world to look into this matter about why dwarven nobility is being slowly, methodically, and definitely deliberately removed. But, as it were, they're always pretty independent and just a little bit off from the regular dwarven behavior. So there were inquiries, but nobody marched up there with an entourage. No diplomatic envoys, no kings or princes or princesses came up to see what was going on. That's probably more than you should have gotten for a 13, but... but that's what you get.
Number to investigate. But okay.
Yeah, that's a lot to
Make it
write, isn't it, Chili?
manageable, geez.
Yeah, that's a lot of writing, isn't it? Yeah. I will tell you this
I
though.
wrote-
Okay.
I did write a lot of that down.
Okay.
I have made up my mind about.
I was going to let you know I am recording this session, so if you want to go over it again,
Oh shit!
you're more than welcome to.
Thank you.
Oh shit!
It's really
He's
nice of you.
posting his first YouTube videos. I
Yeah.
am so down.
dude.
I am topless right now. I am in the zone. I got a little bit of rouge. I am looking good.
Getting hot bothered here.
I can't.
Say not.
relax.
Let me.
Keep your urgent still.
It's my turn to go live now. I think.
Go ahead.
So
I'll have to tune in.
how long was I spent reading this information?
That's probably with the 13 for all that. That'll be almost as long as Talia
Okay.
is. So you'll probably call it quits an hour, maybe 2, before she does.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, then I will definitely, once I'm finished, I'll head back to the compound.
It's a taverna,
to the
but
taverna.
Yeah, sure that.
sure,
I'll
to
head
the
back to that
compound. Why not?
Given
I
this
guess it's-
information, kind of bewildered.
We'll head
and
back
just-
to the safe house.
Yeah, just bewildered and just really like trying to process that everything I've read between the two reading sessions.
I didn't listen to any of that, so
Yeah, I know, it's okay.
don't worry about it.
That's all right. Chili will recap it for you.
No, I mean I don't want to know. This is
Oh,
something that
okay.
Ragam read.
You're just gonna be like, oh yeah, I guess we're heading up north for no particular reason.
I mean,
Oh,
I figure there's a rumored dungeon 2 days away. We can find a bounty. I got 5 days on my commission. We're here for a little while, right?
Right.
And we gotta go to Ravenna to get this fucking blasphemous mark off my forehead.
Oh, I can't wait to get started on that. That's gonna be an
Yeah, me too. I'm actually kind of excited. I can't wait for what you've got planned.
I'm thinking I'm just gonna have it fail, and then you're gonna get your cultists. You're gonna get your cultists and demons, regardless of if you want them or not.
No, you gotta give me a fetch quest, man. I need the blood
Oh
of a
right.
fiend.
Oh yeah, fetch
I need
quest.
the blood of a fiend for this to work.
Why didn't I think of that?
So, we meet up back in the tavern?
well, what
Yes.
time is it?
It is getting close to 9. It's like
I shot arrows. I spent time good.
I spent
Athen returns with some pair of really worn fingers, if you know what I mean.
These fingers have been working. I'll tell you that much.
Results,
Damn.
baby.
Damn.
It's not so you can. There's gloves, and there are probably some sort of somewhat mechanical.
I'm definitely
pieces
increasing my
for
dexterity
those.
somehow.
Oh,
Everybody
Anyway.
was silent and all I hear is Kayla
So,
just go, oh.
Are you
Oh.
seeing anyone?
I'm
So,
a good Christian lad. I would never
no,
do
well, that's
anything
the first thing we're gonna fix.
Don't worry, we'll correct that.
If there's any,
We'll correct that.
yeah,
Okay, my
yeah, I know what I said. I'll make you better, son. So if there's
So,
any checking in or any conversations y'all want to have,
So, Raucum, I never really took you to be the scholarly type, shall we say?
There seems to be gaps in my memory, and I was hoping to find a starting point. So, where I came from, just why I am the way I am.
You don't remember your origins?
I do not.
I mean, I understand once after your first century, certain time periods becoming blurry, but
You don't remember where you
No.
got from at all?
No, it's like there's something blocking my memory.
Very
So-
strange.
Yeah, hence why I figured I'd start at the beginning and work forward.
So you don't know what clan you come from?
I assume my last name,
Which
So-
is
Cascane.
Captain. I can't say I've heard of it, though.
Right.
I'm not exactly a
From what I read, that they
scholar of dwarven
from what I read, they seem to be well known at one point, more than a typical dwarf. But at the same time, they've been mysteriously disappearing for unknown reasons. Just disappearing off the map, and nobody's bothered to check on them, which is disconcerting.
Well, I wish you luck in finding your family and more information about where you come from. I was unaware that you were so carrying such a burden.
But I'm not sure why there's this looming burden over me, though, either. Everything about my past, it seems like I woke up in a tavern one day and have no memory of anything prior.
Well, that is the dangers of the drink, you know.
Yeah, but
Oh, hello, nurse.
anyway.
Wish you luck. And if there's ever anything I can help with, then
Well, if you want to head north, let me know. Because that's probably where I'm heading after I help y'all out.
I believe I could be convinced to follow up.
Well, since nobody's bothered to check on them, got nothing but time, maybe you can go see what's going on. Why I can't find any information on me in particular.
Well, God's willing, I will join you on your journey.
Cute.
Gotta live like Larry, boys.
There we go.
Living like Larry.
There you go, Chili. I threw you a fucking bone.
This
Yeah.
is the start of a beautiful friendship.
Friendship is a
Anyways, Culpa, how are you doing? Oh, I'm doing great, Alton. Thanks for bringing me along. Oh, that's some good character development right there.
Valentine
also
just
level
fucking
3.
stuffs his hand up Culpa's ass and moves his hand
Oh,
mouth
boy.
like a puppet.
That's a
Josh.
That's a new
Well,
level.
he's not here to protest.
Starting equipment.
He's not here to protest. Oh,
It's above active items.
Victor!
Click equipment.
oh, that's
There
gonna
you go.
happen. Give
That's
me
your
that
equipment.
gift. Thank you. Right. So, unless anyone
Don't take gold. We're not buying anything.
anything else you want to do, we'll
I'm just gonna
upstairs.
get into a drunken stupor with Culpa and then go to sleep.
All right, and Culpa and Athens start pounding them back, which is pretty impressive considering this town has a higher propensity for stiffer drinks, shall we say?
This is all me and Culpa know how to do. This is all we know.
This is our talent.
I'll just sip my elven wine
Fucking boomerang was
and watch the two youngins. Fucking.
There you go.
Yeah.
Be
Not much different between
irresponsible.
attacks, just pick whatever.
How much was the inn and the food and the drinks?
Wait, Josh, wait. You can still choose a crossbow or a simple weapon, so choose one of those as well. Okay.
Oy
Well,
vey.
you're gonna be here for 5 nights. Are you gonna pay for all those rooms up front?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. Alright.
Oh, okay, cool stuff, man. Okay.
So that's 1 gold.
And that's it. Just add starting equipment.
1 gold and
Well, yeah.
Now go to your active items.
5
Take off
Okay.
that item you added.
fucking planes. Shut the fuck up or get the fuck out, please.
Sinod's been drinking. You're gonna have to.
I can't hear Strippy talk, and you're both like you're at 100 and Strippy's at 200.
Oh my goodness.
I can't. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude.
Anyways, Josh, press remove button.
I've been saying for like the last week that we have too many admins. Oh boy, here we go. Here we go.
What's going on?
Let me in.
They're just bickering.
Let me in.
It's nothing new.
You removed all my rolls, you asshole. You asshole. Can't believe you.
How does it feel to be nobody?
You deleted my timeout voice channel for fuck's sake.
I didn't delete anything from your fucking
You
channel.
deleted it! You
deleted it, you fucking
Did I delete
idiot.
it?
Yes!
You're also
That
the
seems
same
like
person
something
who
I would
had
do
the past
offline.
3 hours been talking to Striffy with Chili. I've just been sitting here idly playing with archery.
Yes, but now you're talking to other people. I'm just trying to get a fucking number out of Strippy, and I can't
Oh,
hear him
as
because
hell.
you're talking to your buddy that's not even involved in the game.
You've literally had the session to yourself with Chili for the past 3 hours.
You dipped for the first hour.
I've been gone because you guys aren't doing anything. And every time you are, it's literally for your lore, so do your lore. Let me do my thing.
But do it in another chat so I can hear what Strippy's saying.
What?
Okay,
Oh boy.
Strippy,
Hi, Synod.
please.
It's 2 gold and 5 silver.
Cool. So 37
Oh
He
boy.
left. He left.
Oh boy.
and 4.
He's.
Oy vey.
What you did?
He doesn't get to be tilted. I'm sorry. He's not allowed.
It's,
Like honestly.
well, he's got 4 days to get over it. So.
He does. I will assume that that's the end of the session. 1 o'clock.
It's a good spot to stop before the morning time comes,
Indeed.
and it has the added benefit of us not doing anything without planes.
Indeed. Look, man, I don't have a problem with him doing his thing. It's just the talking over you is getting really old, and I kind of hated it.
He was in another channel. I don't know why he came back.
I don't know either.
He could have just popped in.
And
and
don't get me
checked.
wrong, I love planes. I love him to bits,
He's fine.
but he tilts me sometimes. He tilts me quite a bit.
He got bored with the fact that we weren't really doing a whole lot. It was a lore dump episode.
Well, sometimes
But so whatever, it just happens, man. It's just what happens.
that's just the way it goes. It's just the way it goes. It
He
wasn't
could
very...
he could have gone to the library and read a book about the Planeswalkers.
Indeed,
So,
he could have,
you know, it's-
but he didn't want to.
he didn't. He chose not to do that.
But all right.
Yes.
Anybody want to play League?
Sure.
It has turned into a kind of tradition.
Well, yeah, forced.
I want to play.
Oh boy.
Oh no, Kayla, no.
She's like, I'm out, bitches. I don't play League. That's out of
I
my league.
gotta go tell Plains everything that everybody said about him when he left.